At 8:30 p.m. on a breezy Saturday, the flicker of red and blue lights danced across the tidy facades of Crestwood Hollow. Not one squad car, 3. Rolling up like they were busting a criminal ring. The target, my backyard cookout. 6 adults lounged around a patio table, munching on leftover burgers, mid-round in an intense game of Uno. The strongest thing being served was my wife Lena's notoriously zesty lemonade. And yet, here came Crestwood's finest, hands hovering near their belts like they were prepping for a raid. Officer Harris, whom I knew from the community safety forums, scanned our casual gathering with confusion. His partner, Officer Lynn, younger and visibly puzzled, kept glancing toward their cruisers as if waiting for a correction. Lurking behind them like a shadow with a clipboard stood Beverly Krantz, HOA president, glowing with smug satisfaction. "Good evening, folks," Harris said, voice courteous but edged with uncertainty. "We received a report of suspicious activity involving unverified individuals conducting unauthorized operations." My brother-in-law Rick nearly spit out his soda. "We're playing Uno," he coughed. Beverly clicked forward in her orthopedic flats, armed with a print shop-issued badge and her regulation HOA polo. Her hair was so tightly pinned back it looked like her disapproval had physically reshaped her skull. "Officers," she declared, in the clipped tone of a retired elementary teacher. "I have evidence of non-residents misusing private resources." She gestured at us like we were criminal masterminds. Section 11.3 of Crestwood Hollow bylaws requires all guests to present valid, government-issued ID to access HOA amenities. Officer Lynn raised a brow. "This appears to be private property." "It is," I said, standing slowly. "I'm Jason Martin, owner since 2017. Beverly's clipboard snapped up like a legal shield. "That may be, but within the jurisdiction of the HOA, standards must be maintained. Multiple guests here possess expired identification. That's a breach of our safety protocols." What followed was 20 surreal minutes of the officers checking everyone's ID. Sure enough, Rick's license had expired 2 weeks ago. Monica, our family friend, had an out-of-state license waiting to be renewed. "There," Beverly said, pointing triumphantly. "Unauthorized presence." Officer Harris sighed and rubbed his forehead, clearly resisting the urge to laugh. "Ma'am, expired ID doesn't make someone illegal. It just means they can't drive." But Beverly was ready with more ammunition, laminated photos of our guests' vehicles, license plates, and timestamps. "I've tracked these vehicles for weeks. That one," she jabbed at Monica's Honda, "has been here 4 times this month." "Unauthorized residency." "She's my cousin," Lena said sharply. "She visits." "That's normal." Officer Lynn stepped forward. "Ma'am, why do you have surveillance photos of these vehicles?" "Community vigilance," Beverly sniffed. "As HOA president, it's my duty." "Or harassment," I offered, pulling out my phone. 3 months of emails from you demanding guest logs and inventing something called transient residency approval, which, I checked, doesn't exist in our documents. The officers exchanged uneasy glances. Officer Harris cleared his throat. "Mr. Martin, have you considered filing a harassment complaint?" Beverly's jaw dropped. "Harassment? I'm protecting our community. Property values drop when strangers abuse our amenities." "My property value dropped the day you became president," Rick muttered. After more rambling and paperwork waving, the officers finally warned her that calling 911 over expired licenses bordered on abuse of emergency services. They handed her a pamphlet outlining the difference between criminal offenses and civil issues. She took it with trembling hands. As they drove off, Beverly stood in my driveway like a defeated general. "This isn't over, Martin. The board will hear about your so-called party." "Can't wait," I smiled. "I think it's time I got involved." Monday morning, I took leave from work. No golf, no errands, just the county clerk's office. 4 hours and $40 in public records later, I had every document tied to Crestwood Hollow's HOA, financials, board minutes, and the real bylaws. Not the 2-page summary Beverly mailed out. That night, I spread the documents like a battlefield map across my dining room table. Lena brought me coffee as I highlighted, cross-checked, and scribbled notes. By midnight, I'd found 18 violations of her authority, 27 procedural errors, and countless fabricated rules. Tuesday's HOA meeting was unusually packed. Word had spread. Retirees, working parents, and curious residents filled every chair. Beverly sat front and center, clipboard in place, eyes narrowing when she saw me walk in with a thick folder, and Rick and Monica flanking me. "Before we begin," Beverly chirped, I want to address the weekend's breach of protocol. Point of order, I interrupted. The floor isn't open yet. According to Article 3, Section 5, any resident in good standing may raise a point of order. I'd like to discuss board liability in light of the President's recent misuse of emergency services. Treasurer Bill Jacobs sat up straight. Liability? Yes, I said, flipping open my folder. Calling the police under false pretenses is a misdemeanor under local statute. If done under WA authority, the association could be liable. And possibly the board, personally. Beverly laughed nervously. That's a stretch, is it? Here are 3 years of emails, unauthorized demands, and surveillance. No support in the bylaws. In fact, some actions may qualify as stalking. Gasps, murmurs. The secretary, Julie Kent, began scanning her copy of the bylaws. The vice president, retired Judge Dan Lewis, looked at me with interest. Rick stood up. As a practicing attorney, I can confirm that the WA is exposed to legal action. And the insurance might not cover personal overreach. That puts every board member at risk. That got their attention. Residents began recounting Beverly's reign of terror. Measuring lawns at dawn, calling in inspectors over Halloween decorations, fining families over doormats. The room had turned. Dan Lewis cleared his throat. I move for a vote of no confidence in the current president. Seconded, Bill said. You can't. Beverly shouted. I've given 5 years to this neighborhood. And terrorized it, Julie muttered. The vote was 4-1. Beverly's was the only hand raised in her defense. I'd like to nominate Jason Martin for WA president, Dan added. Seconded, came multiple voices. The room erupted in applause. Beverly looked stunned, then furious. You can't just. He's been nominated and seconded, Dan said with a shrug. All in favor. Nearly every hand shot up. And that was that. Beverly Krantz, once the iron-willed president of Crestwood Hollow, had been ousted. The next day, Rick sent her a formal cease and desist on behalf of several residents. 2 weeks later, she was hit with small claims suits for harassment. Total judgments, $14,500. Word was, she took a job at a discount decor store to offset the blow. But the ultimate hit came when I, now officially WA president, submitted her activities to the regional WA authority. She was blacklisted from every association within 50 miles. Last I saw her, she was behind the register at Decor Depot. When she spotted me buying a picture frame for Lena, she averted her gaze. Find everything okay? She asked, barely audible. Perfect, I replied, handing over exact change. Her hands shook as she bagged the frame. The receipt jammed. She fumbled with it, cheeks red. I've spent $63 on yarn this month, she blurted, trying not to cry. Just to make the court payments. I offered her a polite smile. Maybe next time. Think twice before calling the cops on a card game. She blinked rapidly as the next customer stepped up. As I left, I heard her broken voice asking about their rewards membership. And just like that, the clipboard queen had become the cautionary tale of Crestwood Hollow.